Sweeney. So today we're going to take a look at Hot Toys Sweeney Todd, the Demon Barber of Fleet Street. Now this is a figure that came out in 2011, and it's one of those figures that really captivated me on Hot Toys when I first saw it in a display shelf in a store. Apart from that, I think back in the day I only saw like Sweeney Todd, Predators, and Terminators for Hot Toys about 10, 11 years ago. These were the main features of Hot Toys and toy stores in my country. Let's see if I get my sword here. Out of the old series of Hot Toys, I really liked how they did Sweeney Todd here. I mean, obviously the paintwork and face sculpt is meh, not up to today's standard, but you know, back in the day this was very, very impressive. And I managed to get this guy, I think 2 years ago, for stupid cheap. A guy was selling it online, and I just pulled the trigger and say, why not? Because I kind of like Johnny Depp's portrayal of Sweeney Todd. I think Sweeney Todd's a play or some type of Broadway show in London or something, or New York, but this is based off the movie, of course. And did I like the movie? Meh, I think it was okay. I'm not much of a musical person per se, but yeah. So with that being said, the box is pretty lackluster. As you can see, it's just a black box. Back in the day, Hot Toys wasn't really creative with their box design. So with that being said, let's take a look at this Sweeney boy. And here's the Sweeney Todd of Fleet Street. Yeah, this is him. Pretty pale guy. In terms of paintwork on his face, is a bit lackluster, but again, this is a very old figure. I think 10 to 11 years old. So with that being said, let's take a closer look at this very creepy dude. And here's a closer look at Sweeney Todd himself. Yeah, one of the things I don't really like is how bulky he is on the top area here. He's kind of yeah, because he's wearing 4 layers. He has an inner shirt, a vest, a top vest, and a very heavy coat. So it kind of makes him look a little bulky. And I think during the time, Hot Toys didn't really perfect clothing. So it's really he's pretty top heavy. But you know what? If you know how to pose him, if you know how to clothe Hot Toys, then this can work very well. But I don't usually pose him with the 2 top layers of his clothing. I don't pose him with the outer layer and this. I just pose him with the vest and the inner shirt, because Sweeney Todd in the movie is pretty lanky, pretty skinny, so I want to keep that aesthetic, that look for this character. So yeah, this is him. This is the Sweeney Weenie. Maybe let's take a closer look at his face and see how Hot Toys fared back in the day. And here's a closer look at Sweeney Todd's face, and you know what? This does look like Johnny Depp. Look at that. Look how close of a resemblance it has. I mean, 10 plus years ago, they had the skills to do this, and Hot Toy stuff is just getting better and better. The only problem I have with Hot Toys is the licensing, because they're just doing Marvel, Star Wars now, and it's kind of shitty. They're not doing like movie stuff anymore, like, you know, Sweeney Todd and stuff. They're not doing it. They're focusing on more popular licenses, which, you know what, I get, the money's there, that's where the money is, but at the same time, you know, you get collector's fatigue of buying the same shit over and over again. So having Sweeney Todd here does break up my collection nicely. So here he's like a random little guy there in a sea of Star Wars and Marvel figures is Sweeney Todd. So yeah, this is a close-up of Hot Toys quality back in the day, back when they used to do fun properties. So with that being said, let's take a look at what he comes with. Razor case, tiny bowl, shaving brush, razor sharpener, another razor sharpener, razor holder, napkin, razor, hand. And here's some of the stuff Sweeney Todd comes with. Now he does come with another humongous chair, but we'll take a look at that later. But first off, let's take a look at the box he comes with. This is the razor box. Basically to hold the razors, really. And the only way to do so is, I'm guessing I never done this before. I never used the box for display, but essentially it's like that, and then you put all the other two in here, but it doesn't close, so it's kind of a downside to that. But then again, I don't display it with this box because I don't know, it's a pretty boring piece of equipment, accessory piece, so I usually keep this in the box. Next up, we have his sharpening leather, or I don't know what these are called, but he uses this to sharpen the blades. And I think you hang this off his belt, this one, and it's basically pleather. Oh dear, the pleather is still okay. Believe it or not, after 10 plus years, it's still intact, but that's because I never really played around with it too much. That's one, and the other one is same thing, but you attach this to the chair. I'll show you guys that later. But again, the pleather is still okay, and that's the hook where you put it on the chair. There's a hook on the chair, and he just sharpened it with the leather bits. And if you see there, that's my cat. She's having a little attachment issues today. Along with that, we have 3 razors. They're all identical, and they all can be retracted. There we go. So there you go, that's one razor, and again, they're all identical. Very shiny. And I think if this was made in today's, no, it wouldn't be die cast. And there she goes. So that's one of the razors, and all 3 are identical. What are you doing? Then next up, we have his holster or razor holder thingy-mabob. This is plastic mold, it's not leather at all. And then you just and it's good to go. You hang this off the belt, so you loop that in, and he's good to go. That's his little razor holder thingy-mabob. Then we have this, I guess, napkin, just to rinse off the blood or rinse off the shaving cream. It just hangs off his belt, so there's nothing special about that. Then we have his little bowl, which he mixes the cream in. As you can see, it does have some graphic detail on it. A little holder thingy, separator, and it does hold this shaving. Is it called a shaving brush? I don't know what these are called. Shaving bristle. But it does hold that quite well, and you just stick it there and he's good to go. And then finally we have his hands. So chronologically, I guess, we have his hobo hands with the hobo gloves. As you can see, the paintwork is meh back then. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. It was just a couple of tones here and there, some speckling, but it did the job. Then we have his, I guess, successful, since these are more leather-like, so his barber shop was getting more customers, so he's getting more money, so he switched it up with leather. I'm just spitballing here, I don't know what happened in the movie. I watched this movie so long ago in the theaters, I absolutely forgot what happened. I know it wasn't a happy ending, that's all I know. And then we have his naked hands with no gloves, and he does have a ring. Can't really make that out. And yeah, like I said before, the paintwork is meh, but at the time this was fucking impressive. At the time when you saw this, it was like mind-blowing that they could make this realistic looking figures. But I mean, compared to now, you know, it's like an everyday thing now. It's like, yeah, okay, we start to bitch and complain about the little things, but back in the day, man, 10, 11 years ago, this was impressive. So with that being said, let's take a look at his big ass chair. And here's the chair, plus a little cat over there. So this is a pretty honking piece of plastic, and it's, again, I don't think the camera is picking up the detail because the leather does have some tone, has some texture and, you know, weathering. And I don't know, I think it's because of my lighting or the quality of this camera, but it is pretty impressive. Now there is some assembly required with this thing. It comes with 3 pieces. First piece is the gear system, I guess, this thing. Now this thing plugs up the, how do you say, chair. If you could see, there are 2 plug points here, and you just plug those here. I'm not gonna do that because after this review, I'm just gonna stick this thing back in the box because I have absolutely no space for it. So I'm just gonna put this thing here just to fill up the space. The other 2 pieces are like feet presser thingies, feet relaxer. I don't know what these. I think this is the mechanism that makes the chair goes wonk and they go down the, what do you call, hole to get slaughtered or something. Again, I haven't watched this movie in a decade, so you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. But these plug in here. If you could see, they're like tabs here. You basically plug it in here. I'm not gonna do it on camera because these stems, right? Let's see, these stems, this long bit is super fucking fragile, and I tried to do it earlier and it doesn't snap in very nicely. It doesn't. You really have to force it in. So, oh look at that, I got it. So let's try it. Okay, let's try it off camera. Okay, so essentially this is how it looks. If I can get it there before it falls apart on me, because I didn't really tab it in securely, because it really freaks me out on how hard you have to press on these things just to get it in. But that's how it looks, and I'm going to attempt to tab this in at the bottom here, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna fall apart on me. Okay, behave. So there we go. That's how it looks like. Oh dear God. So you see the foot press there, so I guess he presses that and this goes down, they go die, I guess. So this is the chair he comes with. Has some lion heads on it. There we go. Let's do a close-up on it. So here's a close-up of the chair, and as I said before, you can see there are some tone thingy-mabobs on the chair, and it does feel, you know, it does feel soft. I don't know what they used for this, but it's not plastic. This is plastic. This isn't. This is plastic. So yeah, this is the chair. This is how it looks. Let's see if I can focus here. There you go. And then if you could see the mechanism down there, here. Yeah, this is the chair of Sweeney Weenie. Ooh. And that's the hook where the leather piece hangs off. Let's see if I can get it. So essentially you hook this bad boy up in here, and then there, it just hangs off like that. Easy peasy, 1, 2, 3. And I forgot to say, this does come with a base, so it's not like, you know, this is the base. I don't like bases, but here you go. Has a name, has a fake wooden thing. And along with this, it does have a backdrop. So let's put Sweeney Weenie and the backdrop all together and see how it looks. And here's Sweeney Weenie with his setup, his chair, base, and backdrop, everything. And this is how I basically saw him in that store, that toy store, that hobby store, just like this. And to have him in my collection like 10 plus years later is kind of weird, because I never thought I'd be owning something like this. But yeah, this is how he looks like. Very menacing. I tried to make him relaxed on the chair, but because of his massive coat and extra layers, he does look a bit bulky. So now I'm just gonna take those coats off and see how he looks. Maybe he'll look better. Yeah. And here he is without the outer vest and the outer coat. He looks more natural. He looks more relaxed, I guess. Yeah, this is how he looks without all the constricting clothing on him. So with that being said, let's pose him up the way I pose him in my display cabinet. And here's the pose I usually stick Sweeney Weenie in. I like to showcase as much accessories as I can. So he has the bowl, the, what do you call it? The bristle, the brush, his napkin, his blade holster, and the other two blades he's just inspecting. And yeah, this is the pose I choose to have him in. Unfortunately, I don't have space for his chair or his other accessories, but I think this does the trick. Yeah, this is him. This is Sweeney Todd of Fleet Street. So let's take a close-up of this very, very scary looking hot toy. And here's a closer look at Sweeney Weenie. Now I got this guy secondhand and he is pretty old, so he does suffer from stains on his shirt, if you can see there. And he does have a hole there on his shirt, but it does add to the aesthetic of this guy, so he's a bit messy. You can see his blades there. I tried to cram in both. Pretty tricky to do, but it is possible. He's got his bowl there. Moving down, you can see his belt. It's starting to fray a bit, but as long as you don't mess around with that too much, it should stay for the next 10 years. Got his holster there. Got his blade sharpener there, and his little napkin there. All hanging off his belt. So he's got his little lined pants and his little, well, unfortunately not weathered shoes. They didn't weather shoes back in the day. I guess that's a new aesthetic, I guess, with hot toys. And you can see his blades. He's holding, pretty tricky to do, but it is possible. So he's like inspecting them for the next kill. Let's try and rotate this guy without tipping him over. So I usually like to have him in without the coat because it's kind of blown out a bit. Because it does make him bulky, and as you can see, he does has, like I said, stains on his shirt. This happens to white shirts in a humid country. If you store them in a very humid closet, they develop these stains. That's only if they're in storage for a very, very long time. But you know what? I don't mind it on this particular figure because it kind of adds to his charm. This is his hair. He's got some strings on his vest, got his butt, and yeah, that's Sweeney Weenie for you. A 2011 figure, 10-plus-year-old figure, but still holds up today, truthfully, in my opinion. I kind of miss the days where Hot Toys does these movie figures. Unfortunately, they're just doing Marvel and Star Wars stuff now, which is kind of meh, but it does open up the gates for me to go on to other things like designer toys and obscure figures as well. So that's a plus. So with that being said, let's stick this guy in the... Whoa. Focus. Let's stick this guy in. You bastard. Let's stick this guy in the display case. And this is where I'll stick Sweeney Todd. Next to Captain Jack Sparrow. And next to Tonto. Both Johnny Depp figures. I'm thinking of getting the Ichabod Crane from Sleepy Hollow. There is a store here that sells him for a fair price. Not cheap, but fair. So I might get that soon. Once I go out. But we'll see. I don't know. There's not a lot going for that figure, so... whatever. Hopefully this review was helpful, because I haven't seen any modern reviews over this guy, honestly. Some of the reviews are like from 2017. Quality is suspect. So hopefully this can help people who wants to get this figure and see him in more, how do you say, better quality. So yeah, with that being said, thanks for watching. And as always, go get 'em.